What the heck is this? What? Let's go. Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video, it's the season finale of the Packout. Although I will have a couple more specific videos coming out, so you should subscribe. One video you might be interested in working on is a comparison of the tick, the tracker, and the iPhone thing that does the same stuff. So I'm going to compare cost and functionality. So you should subscribe if you want to see that video. But in this video, I'm just kind of going over where I got to, because this is pretty much the end. I might get another piece of Packout here and there later, months and months from now, but I blew the head gaskets on my truck. So now I have to get my truck bulletproofed. And I just ordered my two 3,000-gallon tanks. So, needless to say, I don't have the money for any more Packout. And my experience with this Packout has been nothing but enjoyment. I have had so much fun putting these kits together and moving my tools into this and moving my supplies, some of my supplies into these. It has just been a joy, okay? And the projects that I've done since I did this have gone so much smoother, so much quicker. Like, I have just had flashbacks to digging in buckets and all this. And doing this has actually, given me a reason to kind of pick up after myself, I guess you might call it. Put my toys away after I'm done playing with them. Some projects you work on them, and typically, this is organization for me. I don't pack out, here's my job. So it's not very far to pack out. But so what I use this, and I used to use buckets, but I kind of like the bin better. It's easier to see what's in there and get in versus a bucket. I wish there's a handle, and I actually kind of designed one in my head, and I'm talking to a company about possibly making a handle to turn this into a tote, which that would be a good tote. The totes that they make, yeah. So I gather tools and I put them in here and I go do a job and I come back and when the job's done, then the tools just go right back in here, right? So, and boy, it is so nice to have. Now, what I'm working on right now, and what I've been working on for quite a while, and when I say working on, it's like trying to figure out what I'm going to do with these, because I use them, they're tools. But what do you do with them, right? Like, this container isn't going to be my shop, so I don't want to put them on the wall or anything like that. Okay, so what I'm working on is they're going to go like this somehow. I'm not exactly sure of how I'm going to configure them or what else I'm going to do. But I've got some really nice plywood and some really nice pallet wood that I'm going to use to build that. I'm going to use the feet. Initially, I bought those feet to do my bag. What I'm going to do to it is basically this. That's it. Just throw it in a bin. Super easy. And I constantly need these bins anyway, so it just works good that way. So it's the same story here on this M12 vacuum, right? They don't make an M12 Packout vacuum. I was going to put feet on it, but I don't want to add the extra weight to the thing. And, it's just good the way it is. So basically, same story. It goes like that. I'm going to have, I think 3 extra of these by the time I get done. Like, I only have the one, so I'm just moving it around as an example right now. But eventually I'll have a few more of those. In the grand scheme of things, I have a few more pieces that I did want to get to. For instance, pretty much everything over here. I bought another one of these. I really like these. These work so good. I bought one. I couldn't find one for table saws. You can buy a table saw that comes with one of these, which they're called like a gravity lift. But you can't just buy a table saw gravity lift. You have to buy the whole thing. So I bought another one of these, and Home Depot's so weird. So you go into Home Depot and you buy one of these, it's like $230. You buy it online for $150 and they give you a free pin. But then when it shows up and you get it home, it's so bent from being dropped in shipping that you have to return it, and then you don't end up with it anyway. So here that sits. And now at this point, I'm not going to get another one because, like I said, the whole financial situation, right? So eventually, I'll probably just sell that one and buy one that comes with a gravity lift because that's just the way I work. I really like that gravity lift situation. So I was going to put my chainsaws in one of these big ones, but it just didn't fit, right? So I do have like my chainsaw sharpener blades and all that stuff that I'd like to put in a little pack out, but I'm not sure. Probably going to use that, but you know, and hole saws. I want the hole saw kit. I want to buy all new hole saws, kind of like I bought all new sockets, but so I'm going to just stick with that. So basically this is kind of what didn't get taken care of, but what did get taken care of is a lot, and it's so efficient, so quick that I can just walk in here, and I did label everything, right? Because sometimes I won't use stuff for a long time and I'll maybe, where exactly did I put that? You know, I'll miss by a drawer or something like that, but this stuff here, there's not much here that I want to actually pack up. There's a little bit, like I have a whole bunch of different tool bags in here that I would like to be able to have in a pack out. I got my concrete stuff I'd like to have in a pack out, but you know, oh well. What I have now is going to suit me just fine. I'm going to play around with building those into a pack out compatible situation, but they'll be like the top of something. You know, and this thing, honestly, I wish the pack outs were on it like that. So I wish it was longer. So you see how it's stored with all those pack outs, and it's like hard to tell what those are. And actually I just moved it. It was over there. So I had that here, but because typically I leave this door open and I shut that door, those were in the sun all day long, and I just was like, that's probably not good, right? So I moved stuff around to keep the pack outs out of direct sunlight. And in the process, I shifted the stacks, and as you can see, I labeled some of these on the edge, which this is all my screw stuff, right? So basically I had it differently, and it was easier, but once I moved it, it just all kind of got, you know, so not the greatest way to store stuff. I mean, I like that unit, but I just wish it was designed a little differently, I guess, right? So you could have it sideways, like stored and still access stuff, right? But there might be a reason they did that with the way the pack out things are actually attached. Like it might not be able to hold it that way is strong. Maybe not. This stuff's pretty darn strong. I'm pretty confident in it. So, yeah, I don't have many negative critiques of the pack out. It just really is high quality and a lot of fun to play with, really. I mean, I come in here and just adjust things a little bit here and there and just gaze at it, you know, maybe once every day or so, and it's just, oh, so enjoyable. But like, for instance, here we go. This is my driver kit right? And I have all the bits down here. And this is my grinders. And I did not have that. So these cases were actually uneven, right? And my grinder blades, which is what this is now, were getting messed up. There wasn't hardly any room in here. So it just made sense to get another one of these throw grinder blades in there and make this a level unit. You have to kind of get them in this, like these little guys here. You can get one, but then you can't stack it. So you got to get at least 2 of these and then stack them next to each other, right? But if you want 3, then you have to stack them next to one of those. So a little bit of Tetris fun involved, but what's next is the nut guide. So I'm going to build that. Check it out. Here is my current progress on this build, and it's going pretty good. What's going on here is I have some pieces to cut still. This goes here, and then like this piece goes like here. So there's kind of a cool little joinery going on right there. That's gonna look pretty neat. And that is basically like the support structure for this piece. Boom. So this piece here, this is the main piece that goes like this, and so I put a little handle on the top of that, and then these pieces, the actual thing, so those go on that, right? So, and then these pieces here, side ones, so there's that one, right? And we got this one here. That's because there's handles that go in these. And they'll go down like that. There'll be a handle right there so I can grab it. So yeah. I don't really, this is a little bit of my shop. And then I'll like grab my bevel saw and I'll put it out there and I'll make a cut and put it away. And then I'll grab my table saw and put it out there and make the cuts. Not a cut, right? But make cuts. And so, needless to say, it's a little bit tight for shooting the process, right? Okay. It has been assembled, glued, and glue removal sanding, and I messed up. So I'm pretty stoked. Some things could have gone a little better. Like I got this gap here a little off, but this turned into a nice little thing. I might be able to hang something right there. Just put a hook, like a little, I don't know what, but I'm gonna do a little wood putty now and get it just kind of like, I like these holes. What I don't like is like this little gap here, this little gap here, that kind of stuff. Maybe a little back here, down here, cover up glue, you know, this little stuff. But like that, oh, that's gold right there. So yeah, it's coming right along. I'm showing the progress, not the process. So it's just the way I do it right now. Yeah, and you lift it like this, or with the handles from the sides. All right, so here we are as of now. This is about ready to get the Packout feet put on it. the way I'm going to do that is I got to do a little bit of two-sided tape. Then I'm actually going to drill and use some studs I have. Basically, instead of screwing into the plywood, I'm going to drill into the plywood, and then I'm going to epoxy into the holes, and then put these little screws, bolts, or whatever you want to call them, through into there, creating like a little weld or something in there, way stronger than like just screwing into it. I got a mess of those to do, but it's coming out perfect. I like the little red, white, and blue kind of motif going on. I love it. Okay, so what I've got going on here is I've got all these ready. I've got to pop the red off. Okay, and then I'm going to get them on there. I'm going to take this, I'm going to plop it down there right where it goes. Get it on there perfectly. I'll back it off, and then I'll flip it over, which is going to be super fun with that thing, right? But I'll figure it out. And then I've got my drill bit actually marked off. So when I have these drilled or stuck, so I'll be going this way, right? So they just go the perfect distance in there. Then these are the ones that I'm using, right? Boom, like that. And then just the epoxy, right? So that's how I'm going to make these little feet so strong that it's not going to matter when I shove them in, pull them out, bump them on stuff. They're just going to be so solid, I'm not going to have to worry about it. These have the two-sided tape's pretty strong, but then these little gaps on the side as well. I actually contemplated drilling down into the sides as well, so there was more, but this is probably going to be substantial, or probably good. The two-sided tape is not ideal because it's standing the thing off a little bit. I would prefer it to be flush on there, but the epoxy will hold all this. Alright, so that went pretty good. It's drying. It got a little bit of sawdust in there, but yeah, I think it's going to work pretty good. I put it on there, tested it when it was still wet, and it got sawdust and cleaned it up. And so yeah, I don't think they have to be like perfectly perfect to work. I mean, I could have probably got away with less than that, but I wanted to be able to set it down and have it somewhat stable without being on a pack out. So I just put all of them on there. And of course, I ran into nails. It's like, what the heck? Whoa. Oh, shoot. I really scuffed that up. What the heck did I do? Darn. Huh. Well, I have to do something about that. Here it is. The best one of these in existence. So, I am super happy with the way this thing turned out. It does everything I wanted it to do. You throw your nuts and bolts down here. Maybe you have like a another little organizer or whatever you got to organize stuff into, right? Right? And the biggest thing is, I can just pick this thing up and carry it. Yes, this is probably about a high school level shop project, maybe even a junior high school level. At this point, kids in grade school could probably do this. But what the heck does a kid in a grade school need with a bolt gauge, right? So the reason why some of the things are the way they are. Let's start back here. Like, why is this so crooked and all that? Well, I actually followed the grain and left. Obviously, I didn't leave enough up there. I just wanted that outline of that, right? I just liked the way that looked. And then, why didn't I color in the putty, and why didn't I do this, get that better? Like, I realized that I should have sanded the bottom, or cut the bottom of this, pushed it down. It would have lined up much better all over the place. So that was just a little mistake I made. I'm like, don't ever make stuff like this hardly. And then I left the putty in the corners and puttied the corners heavily because structural or integrity, like that's where the strength connects everything together, right? So I got a little putty in there, a little the wood stuff that JB Weld, little wood putty that you kind of make into a, so it's like epoxy really, right? So it has its own strength, right? And then, I put in that in there just to finish those off, and it's like, oh, well, it's fine that those show like that. I don't care that I'm showing how I did it, I like the fact that I took the time to put that in there. I wish I'd realized I had a different color of just straight wood putty that I would have put in there. It would have looked a little better, but I'm not worried about it. This thing is like, and what the biggest problem was, is ever since I had these things, I've had to move them like 1,000 times. And it's like, where do you set them? And you have 2 of them, so you have to set them, and now I can just put it anywhere. Literally grab it with one hand. If it's done up to the top of a pack out, I can grab it, whatever. I mean, it's just a super convenient thing now, right? And I would love to see if you make one of these. Just go ahead and plop the connect down there in the link in the description or in the comments, right? I'd love to see, because these things could be chopped apart and put into Packout or mounted on the side of Packout or something like that. I mean, this is just how I came up with to do it after thinking about it for a really long time, probably 2 or so months before I finally decided exactly what I wanted to do, right? And then at the last minute, I realized to invert this one so it would be, all here. Because at one point I was going to put them, basically symmetrical to each other, right? And that would have been centered. But then it was like, how do you put this in the middle, right? So, and I actually got a little strip of wood right here that just happened to be perfect size, so I didn't have to cut this to make it perfectly aligned right here. You see? I just added a strip of wood to make this thicker here, just to make that all line up. And, the bolts are all protected, I mean, it's really, well, it works perfectly for me. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. And believe it or not, yes, somehow I end up using this thing enough to, this is all nuts and bolts, right? And the fact that there's a coarse and a fine is, news to me. So if you like the video, subscribe. Have a wonderful day and peace.